those sellers are watching all these other listings go up and be gone in a weekend. And they're looking at their own listing and probably their agent going, what's the problem?
Right.
So that's where I set the expectation, and then we scalp these deals. All right, guys, if you are a real estate agent looking to navigate the 2024 market and find better deals for your clients, we've got some suggestions for you. We're going to talk about 4 ways you can help get better deals for your clients as you're kind of navigating the buy side of transactions. I'm Mike. This is Chris. You can decide, if you're looking on YouTube, which one of us is the better looking bald white guy. And I will not put up a poll because I don't want to lose. So there's that. We are the Tactical Agents. Guys, here's the deal. TacticalAgents.com or find the Tactical Agents group on Facebook. Both get you to the same place. Ultimately, you can join the group. We give away our book. We give away our training materials. We are an open book, and we're trying to grow this group to add value to your business, and we don't charge anything for it. So if you appreciate the content, subscribe on YouTube, give this video a like, share it with other realtors. You can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever. Give it a rating, a review, do all the things. And if you want to come join us and do real estate together, great. If you want to send us mortgages, we do that too. Great. We're here for you. That's the commercial. Here we go. Yeah, let's go. Tip number 1.
All right, let's do it.
This has been my go-to. No, hands down so far in 2024. This has helped me and my clients more than anything else, and that is, I don't even know how to say it. Long listings. Let's just call it long listings. We'll coin a term. Anything that's been on the market for more than 21 days. That is a sweet spot for me, for my market, right? Like, you guys need to decide that. And I based that on the fact that in the Metro Detroit market right now, if a home is priced well, that home should not be on the market for more than 3 days till it's pending. That's what's going on right now in my market. So if I have a client that is strapped, whether they need concessions or they don't have money to go over asking, they don't have money for an appraisal gap guarantee, they don't have that, their home search feature, whether it's my website or my direct thing, like, hey, when even if you're going to go look on Zillow or you're just going to like browse for houses, 21 days. Look at that for me. Focus on that. That way, we know that home is significantly overpriced. So we have a shot to move in and take action, because those sellers are watching all these other listings go up and be gone in a weekend. And they're looking at their own listing and probably their agent going, what's the problem?
Right.
So that's where I set the expectation, and then we scalp these deals. Thoughts on that, Chris?
I think that's a smart strategy. It's not quite the same here in the Phoenix market where I am. I think 21 days would probably be a little on the short side. But again, you have to tailor this to what's going on in your specific market. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a really great idea, because I've noticed my sellers right now are still kind of focused on the 2020, 2021 time frame, and they're calling me and being like, hey, how many showings do we have today? Hey, do we get any feedback today? Hey, what's going on? Why hasn't it sold yet? And I'm like, that's not the same market we're in right now in Phoenix. So sellers are a little more desperate, I guess, to try to get that offer in. So if you find somebody that's been on for a little while, you're a lot more likely to kind of get what you want out of it for a buyer. And like you said in the beginning, people that need a little help with the closing costs, need a few extra things here or there, need, a long close, or, conditions that are not necessarily favorable for the seller, they're going to be a lot more likely to accept it, what you're offering them at that range, if you time it right for your market.
For sure. If you, and it's a great point, right? Like, that's my market. Yours may be different. So wherever you're at, you need to be paying attention to your pendings. right? When you're when you're doing comps or when you're thinking about an area, look at the pendings and see how fast things are going pending. And that gives you a basic idea of if something's priced right, what that time frame you should expect is. And then set your clients' expectations accordingly. And that has saved me so much headache because I don't want to go show clients houses that are coming soon and you get one slot, on a Saturday, and already that house is going to have a ton of buying pressure. Now, if your clients are in a position to play ball like that, okay, great. I mean, it's a different situation, but we're talking about how to find good deals for clients without as much buying pressure on it. Mm-hmm. And the longer a listing goes beyond a weekend here, it gets better and better for the client as you go.
Yeah.
So doing that will often lead you to discover motivated sellers. Okay, that's the second thing is seeking out, discovering, paying attention to some indicators that you've got a motivated seller. So one is going to be the pressure, whether it's social pressure or whatever else of selling their house as fast as everyone else is. Now they want to get rid of it. But there's other things that can motivate people. What would you say are some key things that drive a seller to be highly motivated?
Well, there's a lot of things, and there's a lot of ways to learn those things. So this goes back to some things that we've done in other episodes. Call the listing agent, have a conversation with them on the phone, because you can pick up some details.
Yeah.
But some potential motivating factors. One, they've got another house under contract and they are on a contingency and they have to get the house sold. That's a tremendous amount of pressure because they have already envisioned themselves living in this new place, and they're going to lose it if they don't get this old trashy place that they hate sold. So you've got to have that. If you can get that's a good motivator. Divorce. If you can find out that people are going through divorce, they are ready to be done with each other. They want to get this part of their life behind them. They want to pay their spouse out their portion of the equity, and they want to get it just done so everybody can move on and everybody can, start their new lives.
Yeah.
Deaths in the family. I'm not trying to take advantage of people who had a death or anything like that. That's not what I'm getting at. But there are things that happen with death where people really want to get away from a situation or get out of a house for the psychological reasons associated with that. So that's another motivating factor. Job changes. There's a really long list of reasons people sell. And financial pressure. There's people that made bad financial decisions and their only way to dig themselves out of the hole is to cash out that equity in their home. So there's just a lot of different things you can look for in terms of motivating factors.
Yeah. I think that conversation with the agent and even framing the conversation with this question, what is the most motivating factor for your clients? Mm-hmm. Or another way to say that is like, what's most important to your clients? And sometimes agents don't listen. I have a listing right now where even in the agent remarks in the MLS, I said, I think I quote unquote said, what's most important is beyond price is going to be the flexibility of occupancy. We are looking for 45 to 60 days with the first 30 free. Like I literally just spell it out. That is most important. What do I get? An agent that never called me, shoots over an offer on a type of a loan that I said we're not going to be able to take with no occupancy. Like literally what is going on? You need to have these conversations, and maybe the motivation isn't what would motivate you, but it sure is motivating to them. And sometimes you can be surprised at like, oh, well, I can do that. If that's what motivates you most, they may take a little bit less money because you're giving them the flexibility of the occupancy that they need. And that's what matters to them in their house hunt, right?
Right.
So find out what motivates them, not just wonder and that can be an opportunity. And real quick, I just dove into this book. I shared it with our group, Exactly What to Say by Phil Jones. If you're struggling with these kind of conversations with other agents or potential clients, this book it's solid so far. I really, really like it. So if anybody else out there has read it or not read it, love to hear from you in the comments what you think about it, or if you do, what your feedback is. All right, next one, we got 2 to go, is new construction. I don't know if it's the first time in known history in the modern real estate market, or if it's just recent, but for the last couple of years, we've really shifted to where new construction is actually cheaper in a lot of cases than a already pre-built home. So I don't know if that's every market, or if that's it's not for you.
No.
Here, it's almost guaranteed I'm getting way more house for the dollar. Like when it comes down to like a square foot amenity, all that stuff, right now, new construction is hands down cheaper. So let's just say, like in my market, 300,000 to 400,000 would be considered more of like the higher end homes here. And what I could get if I bought a $350,000 house that was already built would need anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 of updates to bring that into the modern world. The kitchen would be original from the 80s or 90s.
I could see where, your Detroit and the suburbs of Detroit's growth is older than what's going on in Phoenix. So I could see where that might be legitimate there. It's not here. Everything, I mean, almost nothing is more than 20 or 30 years old. So
that makes sense.
That's the oldest parts that we have. But yeah, the benefit on our end, for new builds is their willingness to, buy down rates, offer closing costs, offer upgrade assistance. So, maybe they give you $1,000 for every $2,000 you spend or something like that in upgrades, or they give you a $30,000 upgrade allowance at the design center, things like that.
Yeah.
But there are, since we're talking about specifically buyers that, don't really have all that extra cash laying around to get everything they, want, a new build's a really good option because they can take care of some of those closing costs. They can get them a better rate or a buy down or something like that. That can help them out. So even though new builds for my market are not cheaper than resales, they are a good investment for new buyers that are just coming into the market who don't have the capital laid around because of those issues.
Yeah. Those are all really good points. One of the things that is we can't dive into it deeply, but just you mentioned that in the new build, they're often able to give favorable lending with that. That's typically not for your average like solo builder or a contractor who's like building on 3 or 4 lots at a time that he buys, and he's financing everything and then just selling the home when he's done. This is for like regional to national size builders. And what they do is they enter into these joint venture partnerships with lenders. And so they're able to take a loss on the front end at the mortgage because they have higher margin on the build side. And so it's kind of like they're pulling money out of their right pocket and going ahead and just putting it in their left. So, but from a lender perspective, it's hard to compete with that. I just had some clients that would have loved to have used us for the lending side, but conventional rates are, floating at 7-ish, right? But they were able to get 5.9 and 15,000 toward their closing costs. So like, they're basically only having to do their down payment, nothing else out of pocket. And you just can't, like most lenders cannot compete with that. They're not going to be able to get you a 5.9 rate Like, what? How's that
free,
happen?
and
You're like,
throw in
well, how come?
15 grand.
Yeah, how come you can't do that? Well, we can't do that because we don't own the building company. They do,
Right.
And they own both companies. So they just go, okay, we won't. We'll lower this 5,000 over here, but we have such margin on the pricing of this home. We'll just price this 5,000 higher, and everybody wins. So
Right.
it's hard to compete with that from a lending perspective. But that's why new homes may be a good deal for you. And this last one is becoming, I think, more and more critical, especially with what changes may shake out practically in our industry in coming months, and that is off-market properties. I have been learning to market my properties in private networks and groups ahead of going public. And that's been effective. But finding off-market deals, give me your quick take. Let's say you wake up tomorrow and you've got a buyer needs to get a house, and China has taken down the MLS. there's no public multi-listing system. Nothing there. Like, you have to go find the deal. How are you doing it?
There's a few different ways I'm going to do it. One, I'm going to hit the FSBOs. I'm going to hit the expireds. I'm going to hit the canceleds. I guess if the MLS got nuked, it might be harder to find that, but you get
true.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start going to getting in front of those people and seeing, hey, you were wanting to sell at one point, or you still wanting to sell. I have a buyer kind of thing. I'm also going to draft some I have a buyer letters, and I'm going to start sending them out to the neighborhoods they want to be in, just to see if we can get some fish to bite. Have we done an episode on I have a buyer letters? I know we've talked about it.
I was just thinking, that'd be good to add into the Tactical Agents Facebook group. Like, hey, here's a copy of our I have a buyer letter, and so explain that to people. So they know what that means.
And I have the buyer letter is simply, we talk about being genuine and authentic, right? We're not saying make up a buyer and then try to get a listing out of it. A lot of agents do that. It's scummy and skeezy. Don't do that. But if you have a real buyer that's looking for a real property in a real area, draft a letter, say, I have a buyer. This is what they're looking for. Do you have, or do you know anyone that is in your area that is selling a property that meets these criteria? Because my buyers would like to look at it, and I'd like to bring them by and check it out. And then leave your contact information, whatever, have a conversation with them. When they call, go ahead and, negotiate, what your commission's going to look like, all that stuff, get a little signed agreement for just, this one buyer or this one house or whatever, not necessarily a full listing, and then take them by and go see if it works for them. And that's a really, really strong way to find off-market properties, because there's a whole lot of people that are thinking about moving. I had one of my uncles had a house one time, and somebody just knocked on his door and said, I'd really like to buy your house. What would you sell it for? And he just threw out a random number, and they were like, done. And they paid cash and moved in 3 weeks later, and it's like, things like that happen all the time. So, if you can be the one to cut in there and get that deal for your client, you're going to look real strong, especially if, it's a house that wasn't even for sale and you got it for them.
Yep. So get to hunting, and that through private connections, other realtors, contacting other brokers, saying, hey, here's who I am. Here's my buyers. What do you have coming up? Everybody knows what they have coming up, because you don't go from like getting a listing call on Friday morning and having it live on Friday night. Like, that doesn't happen.
Right.
So like, they know, we got to do this list of things before we list. It's usually a week, 2, 3 weeks, sometimes a month out. Like, people are doing preliminary work and they're making their plans, and this is going to come up. And a lot of people don't want a bunch of strangers running through their house for a week at a time and inconveniencing them. They just like, if I can get what I want for this house, if I can get this number, I'd be happy. Just give me the money and let me go on about my plans. That way, it's all taken care of for everybody. And there's a lot of opportunity. So in the Tactical Agents group, guys, I will be sure this weekend to add the I have a buyer letter that I've used that's come in handy. And if it helps you, or you can take it and adapt it however you want, that's great. And then sometimes just asking on social media. Like, I need to do that right now. I have a property with acreage that is just hard to get. It's going to be highly competitive, and I'm the listing agent. But I brought in 3 buyers that I referred out to other agents to take them as buyers, because it's kind of far from where I live. And I want to be able to say, hey, I have 3 buyers looking for 5 to 10 acres with X numbers on this for the price of the home, size of the home, whatever. If you or anybody you know has even been thinking about, if I could get that amount for my house, I would sell it, please let me know. I've already got buyers ready for you. So putting the word out, you'd be surprised. The more people you're connected to, the more people you can get off market deals with. And if you have a good, solid network, so let's say that you've got 200 emails, 300, 400, 500 above, like you have a contact list, you can even send out an I have a buyer email. Like, I have a buyer in this area. Like, hey guys, I know that not even all of you live in this area, but maybe you know someone who does, who, if these criteria were met, would be interested in selling their home, right? And another pro tip, and we're going to wrap it up. Have you ever tried on social media just asking, hey guys, if somebody was to offer you exactly what you would want for your home right now, would you sell? Like, or if rates were to drop to 6 tomorrow, would you be selling and buying? Like, start asking those questions, and you start generating your own business from things that aren't even on the market yet. It's just people who are considering it. So we could have done 4 episodes on this, but we wanted to give you 4 great tips on helping to navigate 2024 on the buy side. Hopefully it was helpful to you. What are your thoughts on it? What tips would you add? Where would you disagree with us? Argue in the comments. That's fine. And if you're just listening to the audio, get into the Tactical Agents group and argue with us there. That's fine too. All right, guys. That was a wrap for episode 48, and we'll see you on the next one.